what's good? Stu here, Stu TV. I cover all things blockchain, metaverse, crypto, NFTs, all that good stuff. Just want to do another video for the beginner series, just jumping in. Today we're definitely going to be covering bridging, cross-chain bridging, just because just at different points of the space, in terms of where we're at now, interoperability, these different networks and blockchains being able to communicate with each other is going to be very pivotal in terms of like how the ecosystem looks, 5 to 10 years out, just moving forward. But let's get into it. So we're going to click and actually read on this first article. So we look and see blockchain bridges. Web3 has evolved into an ecosystem of layer 1 blockchains and layer 2 scaling solutions, each designed with unique capabilities and trade-offs. As the number of blockchain protocols increases, so does the demand to move assets across chains. To fill this demand, we need bridges. Blockchain bridges work just like bridges we know in the physical world. Just as a physical bridge connects two physical locations, a blockchain bridge connects two blockchain ecosystems. Bridges facilitate communication between blockchains through the transfer of information and assets. Let's consider an example. You're from the USA and you're planning a trip to Europe. You have USD, but you need Euro to spend. To exchange your USD for Euro, you can use a currency exchange for a small fee. But what do you do if you want to make a similar exchange to use a different blockchain? Let's say you want to exchange ETH on Ethereum mainnet for Arbitron. Like the currency exchange we made for Euro, we need a mechanism to move our ETH to Ethereum to Arbitron. Bridges can make that such transaction possible. So we're going to scroll down. Why do we need bridges? All the blockchains have their limitations for Ethereum to scale up with demand. It has required rollups. Alternatively, layer 1s like Solana and Avalanche are designed differently to enable higher throughput, but at the cost of decentralization. However, all blockchains in its isolated environments have different rules and consensus mechanisms. This means they cannot natively communicate and the tokens cannot move freely between blockchains. Bridges exist to connect blockchains, allowing the transfer of information and tokens between them. Bridges enable the cross-chain transfer of assets and information. dApps to access the strengths of various blockchains, thus enhancing their capabilities as protocols. Now have more design space for innovation. Users to access new platforms and leverage the benefits of different chains. Developers from the different blockchain ecosystems to collaborate and build new platforms for users. So actually just breaking that down, I know it could be a complete mouthful, but in terms like bridges or just having the physical location, like I mentioned, being able to take two different points and being able to connect the two and have interoperability sync into a process where all these different blockchains can communicate with each other. So you have particular tokens, you have some type of funds, you can be able to take those funds and transfer it on a different blockchain. Or if you have just any type, whether it's an NFT, whether it's a token, whether it's a coin, being able to interact with different dApps if you want to extract liquidity. So it allows for fluidity in the interoperability between chains to where all these chains are interacting with each other. But the fact that all these blockchains were built separately and they have different coding solutions, different languages in which they code, the mechanisms, is it proof of stake, is it proof of work? There's so many different variables where each individual blockchain was developed together. And now being able to have a bridge allows for these communications from these particular blockchains, which we would not have before. Let's keep reading. Bridge use cases. The following are some scenarios where you can use a bridge. Lower transaction fees. Let's say you have Ethereum on Ethereum mainnet, but you want a cheaper transaction fee to explore different dApps. By bridging your ETH from mainnet to Ethereum L2 rollup, you can draw lower transaction fees. dApps on other blockchains. If you've been using Aave on Ethereum mainnet to lend USDT, but the interest rate for lending USDT using Aave on Polygon is higher, so you can be able to explore blockchain ecosystems. If you have Ethereum you want to explore in all L1, you could try out their native apps and you could use a bridge to transfer your ETH to ETH mainnet to another layer 1. So it just allows for exploration between just different blockchains. You get lower transaction fees, you get just fluidity as far as communicating from the different chains, and you can also position yourself earlier onto a particular chain depending on when you catch the news and catalyst and how you position yourself further moving from your different assets. So you own native crypto assets. I'm not going to read all that because it can be just complex in terms of breaking it down. But let's go to types of bridge. Types of bridge. Bridges have many types of designs and intricacies. Generally, bridges fall in two categories: trusted and trustless bridges. Trusted bridges depend on a central entity or a system for their operations. They have trust assumptions with the respect of custody of funds and the security of the bridge. Users mostly rely on the bridge's operator's reputation. Users need to give up control of their crypto assets. Trustless bridges. Trustless bridges operate using smart contracts and algorithms. They are trustless. The security of the bridge is the same of that of the underlying blockchain. Through smart contracts, trustless bridges enable users to remain in control of their funds. Just breaking down just between that, trustless bridges and trusted have just that central entity being able to control and operate of how that particular capital or how that particular token or whatever asset is going through. Having a trustless bridge, you'll be able to take the same concept except through a smart contract where it has an automatic sequence anytime this transaction is done or recognized to be able to ensure that particular process is transacted fully through a smart contract and being able to verify that on a particular blockchain. But let's keep reading. In a nutshell, we can say that trusted bridges have trust assumptions, whereas trustless bridges are trust minimized and don't make new trust assumptions beyond those of the underlying domains. Here's how these terms can be described. Trustless have an equivalent security to underlying domains, and trust assumptions moving away from the security of the underlying domains by adding external verifiers in the system, thus making it less crypto economic secure. To develop a better understanding of key differences, let's take an example. Imagine you're at the airport security checkpoint and there are two checkpoints. Manual checkpoints operated by officials who check all the details of your ticket identified before handing over a boarding pass, and a self-check-in operated by a machine where you put in your flight details and receive the boarding pass if everything checks out. A manual checkpoint is similar to a trusted model as it depends on the third party, the officials, for its operations. As a user, you trust the officials to make the right decision and use your private information correctly. Self-check-ins is similar to a trustless model as it removes the operator's role and uses the technology for its operations. Users always remain in control of their data and don't have to trust a third party with their private information. Many bridging solutions adopt models between these two extremes in various degrees. So as far as just breaking that down, being able to have like a self check-in or something that's automated to where not one central person can control, the opposite parallel of that is putting it through somebody, a central authority, and trusting with that said information and being able to communicate. Just saying one is better than the other, but in this particular video, just covering an overview, the ranges between the two to have an overall scope, how the space is going to look as it moves forward, as these interoperabilities and things, how we communicate gets more debugged or decoded throughout this entire process. But let's go over the risks using bridges. Bridges in the early stages of development, it is likely that the optimal bridge design has not yet been discovered. Interacting with any type of bridge carries risk. Smart contract risk, the risk of a bug in the code that can cause users' funds to be lost. Technology risk, software failure, buggy code, human error, spam, and malicious attacks on possible disrupts. Moreover, since the trusted bridges trust assumptions, they carry additional risk as well. Censorship risk, bridges operate theoretically stop users from transferring their assets using the bridge. And custodial bridge operators can conclude to steal the user funds. So let's actually just break that down. When you're operating on these different bridges and you're putting different capital or a token, or even if you're looking to bridge an NFT, it's important to make sure that that particular bridge is up to par. You've talked to different people in the particular community. Give feedback. Has somebody already used the bridge, or they can do it successfully, or put up a small amount, being able to test when it goes from one blockchain to another, and just use a particular bridge that's proven, because there's a lot of different bridges will come out and say we're doing this much APY rewards. If you do this many swaps, then we'll get a particular airdrop. Well, don't put a lot of assets and a lot of risk in that particular wallet or how you navigate and move through, because a lot of the smart contracts and technology risks may not have been proven versus other bridges. So use more trusted bridges in terms of that, and just also just watch out for any bugs and areas, and just be careful just maneuvering your money. That's why I always say not financial advice, but start with different small amounts to be able to ensure that you're safely bridging and learning across this particular ecosystem. User funds are at risk. If there's a bug in the smart contract, the user makes an error, the underlying blockchain gets hacked. So there's many different possibilities in terms of using cross-chain bridges, communicating with these particular blockchains, whether it's a smart contract and the blockchain gets hacked. Those are different things that I've actually witnessed. Very important to be very careful and to make sure you educate yourself along this process. That's why I say make sure you click the link below, join the Discord, join my community. We could definitely help and just walk you through that process. But let's go on to our next article. What is a cross-chain bridge? The Web3 ecosystem is increasingly becoming multi-chain, with decentralization applications existing across hundreds of different blockchains and layer 2 solutions, each of which is on its own to security and trust. Due to the ongoing challenge of blockchain scalability, the trend is likely to continue, supported by the launch of more blockchains, layer 2 and layer 3 solutions, and standalone networks such as application-specific blockchains, which could be tailored to the specific technical and economic requirements of a single or small cluster of decentralized applications. However, blockchains are not natively capable of communicating with each other. This makes blockchain interoperability vital in order to realize the full potential of a multi-chain ecosystem. The backbone of blockchain interoperability is cross-chain messaging protocols, which enable smart contracts to read and write data from other chains. With so much economic activity on isolated networks, it becomes increasingly clear that Web3 needs a robust cross-chain interoperability solutions that enable data and tokens to move across interconnected networks of blockchains in a secure and seamless manner. A core element of cross-chain interoperability, cross-chain bridge, is infrastructure that enables tokens to be transferred from source to blockchain to a destination blockchain. This article explains why bridges and our different type of bridges, explore the design challenges associated with cross-chain bridges, and how cross-chain interoperability is addressed these limitations. So even just breaking this down, this is the part in Web3 in the ecosystem that is needing scalability and interoperability in terms of where we're at in the space right now, because you're going to see so many different blockchains, so many different L2s, different L3 solutions, and all these different blockchains be able to support or solve a specific problem, whether a blockchain is specifically tied within the DeFi or within banking, or whether a blockchain is truly decentralized. All these blockchains solve particular problems, and depending on that particular problem, one blockchain might be suited for a different industry or another, but being able to connect all these different blockchains together and be able to have it communicate, it takes interoperability in these different bridges to make that happen, because natively, when these different blockchains were creative, natively they can't create on its own. So interoperability is going to be one of the biggest vital things going on next 2 to 5 to even 10 years, is how interoperability and how these blockchains connect. Now, my actual opinion, I honestly think in 10 years, all these different blockchains will be interoperated, and there's not going to be, oh, you was on this blockchain, or you was on Cardano, or you was on Bitcoin, or you was on this particular ecosystem. It's going to be one cross-chain interoperability protocol that puts all these systems and bridges together, but that's years away from the space, because you have to operate individually on these ecosystems and then find different solutions to be able to scale and move as you go throughout the space. Why cross-chain bridges are necessary in Web3. But let's keep reading this article. Why cross-chain bridges are necessary in Web3. Blockchains are not natively able to communicate with each other. They don't commonly have the ability to monitor or understand what's happening on other networks. Each chain has its own set of rules when it comes to protocol designs, like I mentioned before, currency, programming language, government structure, culture, and other elements, making communication difficult between chains. This lack of inter-blockchain communication limits the amount of economic activity that can happen in the Web3 ecosystem. Without blockchain interoperability, distinct networks represent effectively isolated economies with no connectivity between them. A simple way to understand the need for cross-chain bridges is to imagine blockchains as continents with vast oceans between them. Continent A has extensive natural resources, continent B has fertile land with food to grow, and continent C has a booming manufacturing industry and abundance of skilled artisans. If we were able to combine the abilities of these continents, we'd have a prosperous world. But without a way to connect these distinct economies by the way of shipping, bridging, tunnels, or other infrastructure, these regions would be unable to derive and benefit their capabilities. Continent A will be without food, continent B wouldn't have the technology to maximize food production and efficiency, and continent C wouldn't have the resource to manufacture the best products. However, if we can connect these economies, all continents will benefit from a more interconnected world where each region focuses on its unique competency while benefiting from the entire world's wealth and through trade. Similarly, enabling distinct integrate blockchain scaling solutions and add Pacific chains to communicate, the ecosystem could benefit from the blockchain's ecosystem individual parties. So even breaking that down, that's a lot what I talked about and mentioned earlier as far as these blockchains being able to communicate with each other, because each blockchain solves a specific need, and there's no one size fits all blockchain. I'm just here to tell, I've been in the space. Now, as far as my personal opinion, I don't believe there's one particular blockchain that's going to solve every single problem in the world, whether it's from real estate, from food traceability to healthcare to this, that, and the third. So there's many different industries, many different ecosystems. So I believe interoperability is the way that how we're going to communicate and solve these issues as united, and then being able to have a true system where everybody can communicate and go through bridges seamlessly. But we're still years away from that, but it also presents a big opportunity. Let's look into it more. How do cross-chain bridges work? A cross-chain bridge is a type of decentralized application that enables transfers of assets from one blockchain to another. Cross-chain bridges increase token utility by facilitating cross-chain liquidity between distinct blockchains. So we're actually going to cover some cross-chain bridges today. I'm going to show you some examples. Token bridges often leverage cross-chain messaging protocols for a specific purpose to move tokens between blockchains. In effect, a cross-chain bridge is a very narrow use case for the cross-chain messaging protocol, with many bridges serving simply application-specific services between two blockchains. So you have DEXs and cross-chain money markets, or provide more just generalized cross-chain functionality. So let's actually look into some cross-chain bridges. Cross-chain bridges, three type of mechanisms: lock and mint. A user locks their tokens in a smart contract on the source chain, then wrapped versions of these tokens are minted on the destination to form an IOU. In reverse directions, these wrapped tokens on the destination burn, unlike the original coins on the source of the chain. So you have burn and mint. A user burns tokens on the source chain, and then the same native tokens are reissued on the minted destination chain. Lock and unlock. A user unlocks on the source chain, then unlocks the same native tokens from a liquidity pool on the destination chain. These type of cross-chain bridges usually attract liquidity on both sides through an economic incentive or revenue sharing. In addition, cross-chain bridges can also be combined with arbitrary messaging capabilities of movement, allow the ability to move not just tokens but any type of data between blockchains. These programmable token bridges involve combinations of bridges between arbitrary within smart contract call executed on the destination blockchain. So obviously, guys, it's a lot to take in when it comes to different cross-chain bridges and different lock-in and mechanism types. Obviously, don't put pressure on yourself to be able to understand every single thing and point in this video. The whole video is just to give you a general overview and an understanding on, one, where the space is at today currently, and then two, how interoperability is going to solve these particular ecosystems, where it's going to be seamless, where a lot of people that may not have jumped in before and not going to know exactly how to blockchain solve once everything gets interoperability, especially looking out 5-10 years from now, being able to have that dialogue and contrast to be like understand where we're at then and exactly like where we're headed. But I'm gonna go show you some cross-chain bridges. It shows some different challenges as far as cross-chain bridges in terms of scalability, security, trust, being able to have communications depending on what blockchain is coded on. So there's still a lot of problems within cross-chain being able to have communication, but have made just different strides in the particular ecosystem. Let's go over to our next article. Cryptocurrency is a vast landscape where many different tokens, blockchains, and protocols form a complex digital network. However, this system is not nearly as cohesive as it initially appeared. Transferring value and information between different blockchains is impossibly natively, in which a concept such as a cross-chain bridge comes into play. Interoperability is one of the key steps forward towards broader adoption in the realm of decentralized finance. To achieve that, we need a robust infrastructure that can bridge the gap between different systems and programming languages. So that's the biggest thing that the space needs now is the space is too hard to be able to navigate. It has to be seamless. It has to have be able to connectivity, some flow to it in terms of people being able to interact. Not many people want to create different wallets, create 20 wallets on 20 different chains, being able to track it all, having those different processes. If you want to swap out, you have to go to your Coinbase, you have to go back into your different account. That's very unattractive for somebody, one, trying to learn this ecosystem, and then two, trying to cross maneuver and learn all of it going at 500 miles per hour. That's why you had these early adoptions rate, because this technology is not proven on the mass scale to adopt mass adoption of new users coming into this particular blockchain and ecosystem. But the framework of the technology and being able to play out in the next 5 to 10 years, that's why a lot of people are here, or potentially just to make money or whatever particular value with ecosystem. But how that potentially looks as the framework of the technology comes in, that's the biggest value proposition in terms of this point and being in the space. What is a cross-chain bridge? It goes over different cross-chain bridges. Not longer Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin. Many other blockchains with native cryptocurrency started appearing. However, different blockchains cannot communicate with each other. So we kind of just went over it before. In general, there are 3 fundamental mechanics most cross-chain bridges utilize. Lock-in, which refers to securely storing native actors in a vault secured by a smart contract. And you have burning, which involves permanently removing a select number of crypto coins or tokens from circulation, which by sending them to a one-way wallet to a burn address. And then you have minting, which is the process of issuing new coins on the design blockchain. So it has all the different blockchain mechanisms. It shows you some of the more popular ones. We're going to go over that today. So it goes over 4 challenges of cross-chain bridges. So you have security, performance, wrapped assets, and finality concerns. So you have to be educated in terms of how you interact with these different blockchains. Once again, when you're cross bridging or going to these different bridges, test different small amounts. That way you're not putting a large amount on a specific bridge when you're going across, especially if you're trying it for the first time. Then to make sure that process goes through right, try the first couple times to be able to communicate with members of the community that's already used that particular platform. So there's many different ways on how to educate yourself and use preceded caution along the way as you just be able to learn these different parts of the ecosystem. But let's go on to the next part of this video, where I'm actually going to go over and show you some cross-chain bridges and different examples and give you an overview and a visual of what that looks like. So our first one is DeBridge, bridging at light speed because DeFi doesn't wait. So it just shows the bridge backed up by DeFi. It shows just people actually tweeting that you can actually go. It has a blog, and it shows you just real-time flows in terms of how much money is being extracted between these liquidities. So all these different blockchains are going to have to communicate between one another in terms of Avalanche commuting with Base, Ethereum commuting with Lena, Polygon communicate with Solana, Optimism. So once all these blockchains can communicate, then you could cross-transfer different tokens, being able to get access at a particular points of value. It helps enhance the overall ecosystem of the space, because Avalanche might be dominating the gaming sector in a particular way, and then Optimism might be dominating in another particular sector, and being able to combine those two together because they be able to communicate language between those two. Now you could create different solutions on top of that. So it's building on top of the tech as the technology evolves. So it has real-time flows, audited and verified. It just shows just all the verifications, automated, ready to start blowing minds. You can bridge. So let's scroll back up here, and we can just hit the bridge button. So we just scroll up, we go to the bridge. It'll show you, okay, if you want to take a particular asset, I want to take Base, and I take the asset and the unique asset, and then I go and I want to transfer it for Lena. So you could go transfer for that particular Lena. You take your amount, how much you actually want to put in. It'll say I don't have enough balance, but once it shows, it'll show the amount in your particular balance. When you make that particular transaction, you would connect your wallet to that. Once you connect, it'll show you how much you would do. So here's a particular example, guys. So you could take your particular Ethereum. So once you have your Ethereum, on your Pacific network. We have $17.15. And let's say I want to make this transaction to be able to go through, and I want to take this $17 and convert it over to Solana. So you would take that, put that particular amount in, it'll tell you what you will receive, and then it says connect to that particular wallet, and you could trade and send to another asset, just another address. Obviously I don't have my wallet connected, but that's the visual in terms of you can be able to connect and choose between different tokens. So you can go from Ethereum, from Binance to Polygon to Lena to Lightlink. So you're going to add these different tokens as they go along, and then you just choose the receive token in terms of not being able to go back to a crypto.com or a Coinbase to make that particular transaction and swap, and then you'll be saving on fees, and it just be more flexibility and more seamless as far as and it'll just be more options and seamless and less of a headache as you interact and go between these two particular chains. So that's DeBridge. It just shows you just particular blogs. You can be able to look in DeFi for builders, decentralized access for institutional liquidity. So just a lot of different things that you could look in that particular one. So you can just check out the Twitter. Also, you can go to your docs to just check out these different articles. If you just want to look and just do deeper dives, I believe they also have a Telegram that you can look at, and it just shows in-time flows. So just make sure you just stay up to date on DeBridge in terms of bridging your particular assets. But let's go over to the next one. So we can go over to Portal. Portal is another one to where you could take a particular network. Let's say I want to go over and I want to get on Injective. I take a particular asset on Injective, and I want to take that and I want to put it over to Avalanche. So it would allow you to take that or whatever particular asset that you want to take, and you could take it for whatever amount. So let's say it's going to be 2. I make the specific transaction. I'm going to obviously connect my wallet. Once you connect your wallet, it'll allow you to make that particular transaction between whatever asset, but it's allowing you to communicate between these different networks as far as showing the visual. So it has Ethereum, it has Polygon, Phantom, CeeLo, Moonbeam, and Solana, Sui, Aptos, so many different chains. Now, one thing that I will say in preface, you're not going to see different chains like a Cardano on here, because Cardano is coded on many different languages, and it has to have EVM compatible as far as different blockchains. So not all blockchains are available in terms of it having different levels of liquidity. So being able to have different scaling solutions on top of that to be able to solve just different processes and systems. But again, I don't want to get super deep into this video because it is a lot of information to take in, guys. So I want to be able to break this down in a digestible manner. But it just goes, you can have staking, just different rewards. It just shows what you can reward in, just interacting with Portal. I believe just even going over to the Twitter. So Twitter, the Web3 leading distribution platform, Portal, our seamless cross-chain liquidity layer. We've redefined how users and gamers and dApps connect. So it just shows the Twitter is pretty active. It just shows universal payments. So you can check out the Twitter, be able to just start doing your own research, not financial advice, guys, but identify and picking what particular bridge as far as being able to go in between assets and connect between multiple blockchains. It just shows like different rewards. You can be able to join the Twitter. I believe they have like a Discord, so you can be able to go join the Discord. A lot of people interact with, I know Portal's a very hot particular cross-chain solution as far as seamless, and everything just has to be as far as seamless, but everything just has to be more seamless as far as more of a simplified process in terms of people interacting. Right now, the convenience level of being able to interact with these particular chains is too much for somebody coming in that particular ecosystem. So that's why these particular solutions like Portal, coming up with these solutions can further enhance interoperability and convenience for new users coming into the space. Let's go over to one of our last ones. We see Synapse. So Synapse is one of the most widely used, extensible, and secure cross-chain communication networks. Get route quotes and bridge panel and connect your wallet when you're ready to submit a transaction. So all you're doing is just taking that particular asset. Once again, just going to that. So you can select Moonbeam and be able to connect it and go over to Phantom, or however you want to connect with these particular blockchains. And now you can get in and out in terms of, let's say there's a particular meta or particular dApp that got released and it's hot on a different protocol. And let's say that particular meta is dried out. Okay, I want to shift my assets over to Ethereum, and now I want to go over to Phantom because there's a new opportunity in Phantom. So it allows for the convenience of you to go between these different blockchains, also save on the cost. It had the ability to move throughout that particular ecosystem, but move throughout that particular ecosystem. But also, here's the Twitter, guys. You have the largest cross-chain bridge, 40 billion in volume, 2 million users. There's no second best, and you can join us in a particular Discord. It shows just the latest announcement, so it looks like the Twitter is pretty active. Just the last tweets 9 hours ago, 13 hours ago, people are interacting, engaging. So there's many different cross-chain bridges as far as being able to interact with. So there's many different cross-chain bridges as far as being able to interact and have synchronicity between chains, because interoperability is going to be the biggest money printer going forward in the space, because that's what's going to bring in the mass influx of people. That's what's going to bring in institutions, because people are going to need various different scaling solutions based on what that blockchain or that specific technology solves. So being able to lead this in this direction is going to be great for all parties involved. But anyway, guys, that's the end of this video. I'm going to do a quick overview and recap to break all this down.
Yo, what's good, guys? So I know we're at the end of this video, so just want to do a quick recap and just update as far as covering everything that we talked about and just summarizing it and getting to some points as far as how it's going to benefit you directly from watching this video. So I know we covered cross-chain bridges as far as bridging your different assets, being able to get diverse range of assets and exposure over the different chains, because right now the space is at a place where all these different blockchains were created to solve a specific problem in a particular industry or niche or sector and solve a problem in the world. But now it's finding ways on how we can make these blockchains communicate with each other, different scaling solutions, improve transaction speeds, reduce costs, so a lot of different things, and more efficiency as we go around in the space. I know we covered ones such as DeBridge and Portal, among others, cross-chain bridges. What's actually going to motivate you to actually get into cross-chain bridges as far as being able to use them? Well, the first thing I'll say is just having lower transaction fees or reduced costs in terms of transacting on a different network, and you're going in and out of between tokens, being able to position yourself to be able to get into ranges of liquidity. Being able to have lower transaction costs can help you save money and just help you move more fluid around the space. The next thing I'll get into is just having access to diverse assets, being able to have access to where you don't have to go to a crypto.com or a Coinbase or a major exchange, being able to swap being able to bridge your assets on a different feature, whether it's a coin, whether it's an NFT, a token, and being able to go on different networks, and then also having increased flexibility and versatility in the space. So if you know how to bridge, you can be able to take your assets and go to that chain directly, maneuver through the ecosystem, capitalize, or just see an opportunity and then bridge your assets and go to another ecosystem. But again, guys, that's a quick wrap up. Make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Make sure you share the video. Stay tuned for the next ones. I'll see you. Peace out.